What's up, y'all? You know what time it is. 30-minute chop up with your boy E-Dawg in the building on easewayradio.com. Remember to download that app. We only got the Android joint right now. We're working on the Apple. But you know what time it is. Ease way or no way. I got a special guest on the phone lines with me right now. It's my boy, Super Hustler. They call him Network. They don't call him Network for nothing. Y'all give it up. Put your hands together for my boy, DLabrie.
What's good? What's good? E-Dawg, man. It's good to holler at you, bro.
Hey, man. So where you be? Let me make this right. You be somewhere with Chinese, right, man? Where you be?
Most of the time I be in Korea, but I have been to China. I have been around Asia, different parts, Japan. I started off really going to Japan. That's where my first album really popped off. But to believe it or not, before I even dropped it in America, my first album really got sold in Japan in the early 2000s. So that's kind of how it all started. But usually I expanded my label to Korea. So I got like Rendezvous Records, Korea office, and I be out there for long periods on the road. And I usually go out there and bounce around. Once I get to Korea, I bounce around from there, but I ain't been able to do that because of the pandemic. So yeah, I just got back actually about a month ago.
Yeah, I see some drama, man, where you was they kind of held you hostage, man. You got that coronavirus. And the rules over there is a little different, man. Explain a little bit about the coronavirus rules. They take it very, very serious, right?
Yeah, they do. Well, it was two situations where cats thought I was held hostage because of some of my posts and some of the social media. Some people was talking about it, little miscommunications on what I was going through. Because once I post something, or once my people in the U.S. put something out, sometimes it get misinterpreted. Like a lot of people thought I was in North Korea with Kim Jong-un and the dictatorship. Because, a lot of people don't be knowing their geography because, America don't be teaching us all that. They be wanting us to just call everybody one thing. But one situation a couple years ago, I got locked up in South Korea, not North. Thank God, not North, because you can't really get in the North like that. But I had got locked up for a little fight situation at this club. And I'll tell you right now, it was self-defense, but I had to kind of learn how they handle things and how situations get looked at out there. So I spent a few nights out there and locked up. And that was one thing when people thought I got held hostage and I couldn't really respond online. So the second time was this past time with the COVID. Well, actually the last couple of years, I've been in Korea pretty much like 50% of the pandemic, back and forth. Okay. So I was actually when the pandemic started, I was in Japan on the road. I was on an Asian tour, so I was moving around. But I was in Japan when I think I first heard about the coronavirus. And my home base is still Korea, but I'm in Japan doing shows, video shoots, and I start hearing about it. And this is around when Trump was coming into office and things like that. And so, and Kobe passed a year, like 3 months later, things like that. So I saw it kind of all unravel. So I was there during that 3 months. I came back, then the U.S. shut down. Then I went back with my kids because they was homeschooled for a year because of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So I went back with them and everything was kind of shut down for a while. And the nightlife was kind of suffering. So I just shot a lot of videos, shot a lot of films, and set my office up and stuff like that. But this last time, I actually got COVID, like right before I got back. I just got back a month ago. I was at the end of January, I came back, but I was supposed to come back mid-January, but I caught COVID. So I was telling my peoples in the U.S. I can't come back right away. I had to cancel some stuff, shows and some business. So it was like a thing spreading around that I was like locked up out there, or that I was like in a camp. Well, like you know how the game of telephone in elementary, you say something and it spread and people start twisting the words or whatever. But basically they was trying to take me to a health camp for COVID where foreigners get put. It is against your will because I didn't want to go. So I fought it hard, and they let me stay at my crib out there, and just I got real sick for 5 days. I had crazy fever. I was just sweating like crazy. So those might be the two times you're referring to, but you know, it was a little situation, but like it wasn't like no North Korea camps. But yeah, they do take it serious, and like they kind of overreact to the pandemic to keep the numbers down. So they shut the nightlife down. They make you test and they make you quarantine. I did like 2 weeks of quarantine. Every time I go, I got to do 2 weeks of quarantine before I could even step foot outside. Like they made me build a wall in my crib. They check on you. They have you. They have apps that follow you around and make sure you don't leave the house. They send you food to your door. You know, they had doctors check on you. Like it's just a lot of red tape when you first get there. But once you clear your quarantine and you take your test and prove you don't have it, then it loosen up. But once you get it though, they really monitor you. They don't let you just get it. Like here, they say it's quarantine. You get it. You kind of on your own. But out there, when you get it, they make sure you don't spread it. They track you. They make sure you don't pass it. And if you do pass it or pass it to anybody, you get fined. You could get deported. Like you could get a strike against your passport. And even some venues I perform at in DJ got shut down or fined major money because they was like breaking protocols. So they had protocols like where you can't talk, like you can't dance. Like they had like you can't put no flyer
They're
out.
looking out. They're looking
name.
out. They're just looking out, man. I ain't mad at them being safer than sorry.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
The numbers was low. The numbers was pretty low out there. But they had
I see why.
peaks and the valleys.
Yeah, I see why. I mean, at the end of the day, it's their country, man. It's crazy to hear you say you was a foreigner, because you know we don't. Now, did you get any video of the fight when you got in trouble for the fight? Did you get any video? Because that could be.
They got some video. I know somebody got some video, but like that fight was like really just something. It just happened so quick. Like I got attacked by somebody. I just did what I did. Like I just turned around and just you know did what I had to do to protect myself, and then it got broke up so fast. But what they do sometimes, and I ain't trying to knock people out there because people pretty solid and it's mostly love. But this dude was trying to he was on some hater shit. Like I guess he worked there, and we was shining so hard that night. I was the only black dude in there. And so this the one dude who want to kind of try to flex on me and regulate. He was like a older dude, like a worker there. I didn't know this at the time, but he had grabbed me. I don't know who it was. I turned around, swing, bust a nigga lip and all this shit. And then I'm pulled back. I'm held back. And so I found out later where that happened. But basically what they do to you sometimes, like not everybody, but the haters, they know when you're a foreigner, you don't know the system. So they call the police, or when the police come, it's different than here, because when here, you know, they just take whoever and they just, you know, charge whoever with battery. And if it's a fight between two people, they arrest everybody and just do whatever, and then you deal with it later. But here, out there, it's based on who called the police and who got hurt the most. So like, it's easy for somebody who mad at you to rile you up, start a fight with you, and then go tell the police. And then if they got an injury, they could easily point the finger and say, look, he busted my lip. He threw me to the ground. Here's the footage. And you got to fight it differently, because it don't matter who's right. It matters who got hurt and who called the police and told and who's pressing charges. So, you know, he made it a little difficult for me because he was embarrassed that I busted his lip. And like, I don't know what made him do that. But
so did they drop charges, or what happened with that?
It was a long process. I actually just kind of finalized it. This happened like 2 years ago, when the pandemic was in full swing.
I remember.
So now it was basically that I had to get somebody to come translate for me, because they don't let you just talk for yourself if you don't speak their language. So I had to wait a few days to get a translator. People was looking for me out there. This is in the middle of a tour, so I had a lot of shows and stuff set up. And this kind of happened on an off night. Like I wasn't performing, but I was kind of emceeing like for some of my DJ homies. It was like a DJ all-star lineup of some of my homies spinning that night, and I was just hyping the crowd with them like a MC, you know, old school MC shit. And we had a VIP table and everything. We was shining, but they all left, and that's when it happened. Right when they left to the next club, I got caught by myself, and that happened to me. So they didn't really know what happened to me. So anyway, when I got out, I basically learned the hard way the legal system out there. Like it really don't work well for foreigners. If you get in any type of altercation, it's not gonna go well for you. So even when I called the legal team and got them involved and got my peoples out there involved, it just was a long kind of back and forth sort of thing. Like basically the main thing is when somebody get in a fight, they can sue you, not like no millions or nothing, but they can sue you for hospital bills. They could just make your life kind of annoying.
I mean,
like,
that's pretty much America. That's pretty much in America too. They can sue you and stuff for injuries or whatever. But I'm glad you.
It's a little different because when they do it, it's like a battle of it's like it ain't really no fight, but it's like they really trying to hold the law over your head, and the police don't really investigate. They just kind of look at like who got the proof. So he had got some girl to lie on me. And it's easy to make a foreigner look like the problem, especially me, because they think you don't have no backup. They think you don't have no lawyers and stuff. So because I had the legal team, it helped me kind of balance it out. So basically, we had to countersue, and it just drew out for a long time. They kept offering, okay, you pay this much, and then we'll let it go. And you paid it, and then we just kept going back and forth. I left the country, let them handle that. And then it ended up where I had to pay like a couple $1,000 to make it go away. And I think they put a little strike on my passport. So you really can't win in the end. Like I didn't get no, I can still go back, but I still got a strike on I still got a strike on my passport and my status out there. So
no doubt. Now how's the
out the pocket? I ain't seen dude since though. I think his club closed down after the pandemic. He was a sucker, man.
All right. So how's the music going over there? Tell me how it works over there. Is it radio stations? Do they play your stuff? How do they? I mean, a lot of people speak a different language. Do they understand your music? How does this all work over there?
Oh man, good question. Well, first I want to say, of course, as I said, there's so many different regions and different countries out there in the Asia region, and a lot of people mix up, China, Korea, and Japan. But in that region, they call it East Asia, like Japan, Korea, and I think Taiwan's close by, and then Hong Kong is kind of its own thing. But Korea in particular is it's very homogenous. So it's not super like. It's a very developed and well-off country. It's a nice country. It's beautiful. It's not like old school or old-fashioned. It's very high-tech, but it's very it's not super developed as far as the rap scene. Like it's still growing. I've been going there over 15 years, so I've watched a lot of development in the scene. So when I started going, it was more like the super famous artists was big out there. Like the super big mainstream names were big, and I remember seeing like some Black Eyed Peas tours, Eminem tours, and it was a little different back then because it was still mostly like the internet wasn't big yet. Like I was going out there before social media was big, before smartphones. Like they had smartphones before us, so like we didn't have them. So I get out there and it was like you still had to know based on who you saw when they came out there. So like it was based on what tours they saw, and only a select few tours would maybe be sliding through Korea. Whereas Japan, on the other hand, a lot of big artists have gone to Japan. Like that seemed to me to be the #1 destination for most hip hop artists. You would find a lot of hip hop artists that say they went to Japan or had a tour in Japan, or they had some type of history in Japan. Whereas China is a lot harder to get into. They're a little more laws and stuff that keep like it's not really an open democracy like Japan and Korea. But Korea is not that many artists who really go there on the regular, and I found that out from going out there. But now you got more of the internet influence, and so what keeps the scene really going, the main power players is the Korean DJs, especially the ones who maybe go back and forth to other countries, like go back and forth to America, go back and forth to other Asian countries. They really be holding the power over what gets heard and what's kind of popping. So we did me and my director did a little documentary on Korean DJs, and that's coming out soon. But we did a few films about Korea. That's the one you saying you was feeling, called Be Myself. We did a little film about my life in Korea and things I be doing, the DJs I work with and stuff like that. That's a separate thing, like a music video from our documentary.
No doubt.
But basically, there ain't no radio stations like that. Like they don't really listen to music like on the radio, like when you get in somebody's car, they don't play music. Like they might off their phone, but like radio ain't really it. It's more like it's more of a K-pop country. It's like you would say music don't really run the country like that. Even rap, not just rap, but music period ain't the number one focus.
They don't allow it to. They don't allow it to influence. They don't allow music to influence their culture.
Well, it does influence. It's just not really radio type of thing. Like it's more like you see it more direct in the clubs, in the streets. Like everywhere I go, it's like people is excited. Like people is excited about music. They excited about all types of hip hop. They know some things. It's just like different than like you don't go on TV. There's no video show. Like there's no MTV. Like there's no. Crazy. You wake up and watch TV and see your favorite rapper, your favorite singer. It's more influenced through the TV shows, the comedy shows, the reality shows on TV. Like they got a lot of the artists that are big there are not really the rappers. It's like the K-pop artists, the famous country singers from the past. Like they have a presence on TV.
Wait, stop. Did you say they have country singers?
Like what we call country, like it's the same concept. Like, cause you got to remember, they got like a long history. They got a long history that go way back. So before K-pop and pop and Michael Jackson and like just like us, we had our old-fashioned singers of the past that just had a microphone or just sung on the countryside or whatever. But it's not what we call country music, like what we call like Garth Brooks and stuff, but it's there. What I mean is singers from the old days, from the countryside. They not doing the Beyonce moves and the Timberlake and the Michael Jackson moonwalk. Like they singing with a mic and they singing about their farm. You know, that was the music back in their old days. That's their like classic music from the generations back. So if you go to a small town, you ain't gonna see no BTS or none of them type of artists. You're gonna see those type of singers, like that just the mic and their voice, you know what I'm saying? So, or the guitar. And so that's a big part of the history of that country. So you gotta look at the evolution to go from that, like a generation ago, to being Beyonce fans and Rihanna fans, and that's a lot, bro. So they still figuring out hip hop. Like they still excited. Like they still rap. There's a funny story. They still rapping in the park. They still spinning on the cardboard. Like they still excited to put a microphone and stand up and just sing for you or just lip sync some Dr. Dre lyrics or they still figuring out all the meanings and stuff like that.
I love it.
So like, if you and me went out there, like any real artist go out there, they know, they feel it. Like it ain't no DLabries and E-Dawgs just walking around.
Now, do they spend the money on it?
Oh yeah, of course. But it's like a small society. Like like I said, ain't too many. If E-Dawg go out there, yeah, they gonna spend money with E-Dawg, but they ain't got the reference to that too often. Like they don't really know, you know, like let's just say Redman go out there. It's gonna be like, oh shit, that's too real. That's too real for E-Dawg to be there, or Mix-a-Lot. Like I know he been there, or he been around there, but
no,
I'm
he
just
ain't been
saying
there.
it's rare to have a DLabrie type of person out there in the flesh to really sell you an album. You know what I'm saying? So like they still got that excitement.
What's the price? What's the price of a CD over there compared to here? Is it more money, or is it the same, or how does that work?
When I first started going, we were selling CDs. We took about 5,000 CDs to Japan and Tokyo before I even put it out in America. We were selling them for 10. But what we was doing was, I had this chick with me who was helping push me out there, and she was offering my shit in bulk. So she'll be like, we'll give you 20 of these albums for, you know, what would be equivalent to $100 or 120 or 130. We was just making deals, like bass style, you know, West Coast style. Just whatever you got, we gonna trade you. So like I say, we were selling them for 10, 20, but I don't know how much they sold in the real stores. You know, that's different because they got a whole different distribution networks. Korea, on the other hand, when I first went to Korea, I used to have CDs, but like, you know, it's different. Like they'll pay you whatever it depending on if they real fans like that. You know, they might give you more for a CD, like 20. You know, they paying for what they want to pay. Like it's the money ain't the issue. The issue is now they don't really. It's like not really a CD territory no more. It's all. See what I do is mostly I pass the flyers out and they go straight to the QR codes and then they just do what they do online. Like they it's streaming and stuff now. So it's they the same way. They got streaming and you know, they're like. But if you got physical merchandise, they'll still buy it.
I was about to say I sell more CDs than
doing that
online.
out there. That's something Americans bring to the table. Like, it's not like people in the street selling CDs or like, you know, rappers just walking around selling shit.
Yeah, because they were in
flooding the market out there.
They were in the devices and stuff before we were even thinking about all that. I mean, every time you seen a commercial, even back in, you can click back 25, 30 years ago, every time you see a commercial, they abused the headphones. Like, they were always with headphones on when you see some type of, you know, when you see the city moving or whatever.
Right.
Man, so I want to get to your music real quick so we don't spend too much time on Korea.
For sure.
You know, you out of the Bay. One thing I've noticed about you, man, is you're very consistent. You're very serious about your music to the point where you move around. They don't call you Mr. Network for that. You actually fit the skin. Are you still
that's an honor, brother.
Are you still helping artists in the Bay? Do you take material, you know, with you out of town? From, you know, because you hit me to a lot of Bay Area stuff that I didn't know about when I came to the Bay. We went to a couple joints and I met a few artists, and it was, you know, when I talked to Money B, I was like,
legendary, man.
I mean, you guys got so many different styles in the Bay Area that a lot of people ain't been exposed to. Because you hear about your Mac Dre's, Too Short, you know, your Filthy Riches and things like that. But that's only like a part of the Bay Area. That's the core. That's where the Bay Area music kind of evolved from, right? But what I noticed is you took me to the underground spots. You took me to the juke joints. You took me to the spoken words. The you know what I mean? Are you
covered a lot of ground, man.
Yeah, so you mess with a lot of different styles in the Bay. Are you still doing that out there?
Yeah, you know, I say that's kind of art. I say if we had a thing that made us the Bay, that made us kind of like our characteristics as artists, I say that would be probably what I would say stands out the most is that our underground rap scene, and when, you know, everybody got their version of underground. Like at some point, people was calling UGK underground. So like, there's gangster underground, but then there's another part where people might say underground is like the underground hip hop or the backpack style or that vibe. But like, I'll say that like, you know, a lot of people looked at the West Coast, they mostly was mention LA, and you know that being from Seattle. But like, it's like in the Bay, we was just a little different than LA with the fact we had like a sort of balance to our culture because of the politics, the revolutionary spirit of the activists, the Black Panthers, the movements going on in the Bay. And it was just like a part of the music. So like, I think the knowledge, the education, and the way we came at it was like less of a gang mentality and more of a movement mentality. And that kind of influences us a lot. Like my mom was involved with the Panthers. Like we grew up in that era of consciousness, and like even the hood niggas would kind of be into that. So like, I think that kind of give us, when we think of the Bay, it's like always we in the shadow of LA. So I think that what separates our style a little bit, we more into the artistry, the deep thinking, the philosophies, the technology, like the things like that. So a lot of times they would call the Bay game related instead of gang related.
So when you came to the Northwest, you know, you felt the connection there. You finally felt like, you know, okay, there's a connection on the West Coast with the Northwest.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it was like a family feeling. It was like almost feeling like at home. You know what I'm saying? Like being in Cali, it was always like a lot of times the major media would always mention LA, and then we'll be kind of like put in, you know, they'll throw in a little mention of Short or E40 or something. But like our energy, like we would a lot of times be in LA shadow, and so I think what separates our energy, what separates some of the energies of the two areas, and I got a video about this, a whole short film about this called Away We Go, just showing love to LA, but showing the differences of the Bay, like heading around different parts of the West Coast. like going up north towards Portland, Oregon, Seattle, like up that way, it's like I felt like it was it was like a lot of love, a lot of family, and a lot of love for the Bay. And it wasn't that just mixing us up with LA up there. It was like, nah, we rock with Northern Cali, we not rock with the Bay. And there was a lot of knowledge of our history and a lot of artists working together, like you and Filthy Rich. I could feel the love, and like even pioneers of the Bay speak very highly of the legends in Seattle, and like it was like whoa, like it was like it expanded my view of, and even us feeling in the shadow of LA. I was like, man, like we gotta start speaking on Seattle and Portland. I think
that connection came from Little Record Mart and little record stores, independent record stores out here brought that connection, man. We was really feeling the Bay. I'd say around the 90, 93, 94. It really, when E40 was coming up here, hand passing his tapes and CDs to the record stores. And they start selling. I remember meeting Mac Dre at the Gavin. Now the thing is that the industry on the West Coast, if you think about it, LA was the base, of course, where the labels were and things like that. But the Bay Area held the industry together, and the Bay Area was the independent connection, because that's where the Gavin came in, where labels were able to send their reps to the Bay and see all these different type of artists come to one spot. Come to the Bay and get down on the mic, and they was finding talent, and like you had the Coop, and then you had Digital Underground, but then you had the hard rappers like what's his name, Mac Dre, and those type of people, because Mac Dre was going hard. I would always see him at the Gavins, and I missed the Gavin. What was cool about the Bay was that you had different radio stations that supported. At that time, like you can do a tour. I did a radio tour in the Bay. I didn't even know the Bay had that many radio stations. Not only that, you guys were the first place that I experienced a real quality looking video show. That was it Soul Beat? I hosted that joint, and I was tripping.
There we go.
I was like, yo, this is
hood, bro. I grew up across the street from there.
Yeah, I was like, yo, this is dope, man. Especially for independent people, man.
That was the first BET, I believe. That was the first. It may not be the first of all, but it's one of the first nationally known.
It was in the basement. Shows. It was in the basement. It could have been an influence. You feel me? So real quick, man, we got 3 minutes. I want to get into what you got going right now. What can we expect from you, man? What's all your social media and everything? How can people get in touch with you, collab, listen to your music? Man, go on and talk about all of that. Give us that connection, man. We got 3 minutes. Actually, we got We got 2 minutes now.
For sure. Well, right now we got the singles out. Basically my biggest album today was Mr. Network. That's my alias. That's kind of my movement. So I got a trilogy album about my life and about my journey called Mr. Network, and Mr. Network 1 was my biggest album to date. So we about to drop the single, which is gonna be, a huge project for me, and then we are unraveling a bunch of different volumes of Mr. Network. But part 2 about to be the big one, and we dropping that in the next couple months. I believe April 22nd will be the date. We just pushed it back a little. But right now we pushing the singles from that album. One is called Vampire Network. That's a tribute to my time living in San Jose, Silicon Valley. The Bay is set up kind of like New York, like with the we call it the boroughs of the Bay. So South Bay, Silicon Valley, where the internet was started, is one of the boroughs. And I lived there. I'm from East Oakland, but I lived there at a point in my career, in my career, worked with Tracks A Million. And so this song was kind of like showing love to him, featuring a lot of dope San Jose artists like Kung Fu Vampire, YDMC. And then we got the triple single dropping in the spring. We got Up, Be Myself, and Baby Love. And it's a three-part audio visual single. All the videos were shot in Asia. They're like short films we shot in Asia during the pandemic. One is out called Up. We shot that in Japan like about a year ago. And then Be Myself, we shot in Seoul. And Baby Love, we just finished in Korea like when I was out there. I just got back, so we did that like December. So those will be out. Those are the first 4 singles of Mr. Network 2. It's gonna be just filling in the second part of the journey like Mr. Network 1 was about to come up from a boy to a young man, trying to get my stuff out there, becoming a young activist and moving around, getting my feet wet, learning my lessons. And the second part is when we really started popping and things started taking off. And the lesson you learn when you start making somewhere in your career and you start thinking you on and you young and you arrogant and you start thinking it's over and you start to fall because it get too good and you're not really like planning your business and you're not really like knowing all the ropes yet. So that's what the message of Mr. Network 2 is. But it's very celebratory because it represents that time where we had our breakthrough and started getting out in the world, touring, traveling, having radio play, doing songs with big artists. So it takes place in the past. The whole Mr. Network trilogy is kind of like
doubt.
Going back in time.
So real quick, man, I need your social media. Yeah.
DLabrie.com is my website. Hit me on Instagram. Follow me at DLabrie, DLabrie. Twitter at DLabrie, DLabrie. And make sure y'all subscribe my YouTube.com/DLabrie3. See all my videos. Check out all my music on there. And then check out all my projects on Spotify, Apple Music. All of my stuff and all my catalog is getting re-uploaded and put on those platforms. So you can stream me on every platform. Also follow me on Snapchat, DLabrie, EOG. I'm easy to find, man. They call me Mr. Network. So
y'all heard it, man, from my man DLabrie.
Let's get together.
Yeah, y'all heard it. My man DLabrie, man, on the Chop Up with your boy E-Dawg, EatsWayRadio.com. Hey, DLabrie, I appreciate you.
Oh, man, for sure, bro. Thanks a lot, man. Shout out to the whole Washington, Seattle, Tacoma, the whole world. Hey, much love to E-Dawg. I'm rolling.
You stupid. All right, man.
I learned a lot from you, and you one of my favorite MCs. And we always had a good time, man. You always teach me a lot, and you always keep me laughing, bro. So thank you, brother.
All good.